Screw your HOA and its ridiculous rules. Back in high school, I was all about my car. Don't get me wrong, it was a Roland Pass, but it was my car. It had a trade-in value of maybe $5, but it was my car. I was learning how to take care of it, by which I mean I found where the dipstick was and how to pull it. I hadn't yet moved on to tire inflation. One step at a time. One day after school, I drove over to my friend's place. We jump out, pop the hood, pull the dipstick, check the oil, and it was fine, so put the hood back down. I had no idea what an HOA was nor what it meant. I was just a happy, ignorant teenage eager to demonstrate how responsible I was with my wheels. A few days go by and we're hanging out at my friend's place when his mom comes home. She starts giving us the business in that I'm annoyed but trying not to be voice about a warning she received from the HOA regarding repairing cars in your driveway, complete with a photo of my Pass with the hood up. Really, she was being pretty good, though clearly annoyed. We explained that we weren't repairing anything, that I was just checking the oil level, and didn't even need any tools. Picture. Just had the hood up. She softened quite a bit, and the focus of her annoyance shifted from us to HOA, since it's entirely reasonable for anyone to check the level of oil in a car. She finds her copy of the HOA rules and we all read them together. Sure enough, there's a bylaw that says you can't repair a car in the driveway. I protest that I wasn't repairing anything, I was just checking the oil. Reading the exact rules on exactly what was forbidden sparked an idea. I look at my friend, raise an eyebrow, and say, "Fight the power?" FIGHTTHE power. I propose my plan to his mom and ask for permission since she's going to have to deal with the fallout. She's on board since she thinks this is supremely stupid, and we set in motion. Q. The MC. Every day after school, my friend and I drove our POS machines to his place, parked in their driveway, raised the hoods, and just looked at the engines. No tools, we weren't even near them. We didn't check the oil, we didn't so much as touch them nor wipe them down with a rag. All we did was expose them to the birds, the sky, and God above too. Just let them breathe. After a while I got bored, so I started setting up an easel and drawing my engine in minutes at a time. My friend had to one-up me, so decided he needed some tasteful artistic photos with his engine. He judged the best photos would be him laying over the engine shirtless, stroking and fake kissing it. Just absurd, over-the-top Morinichi schooler stuff. Predictably, the HOA was on us like stink on hit. The warnings quickly turned into fines, complete with pictures of both vehicles with their hoods up. Then more pictures with mine with its hood up and an easel in front. Then even more pictures with my friend's with its hood up, him laying in the engine compartment and me taking pictures of him with a camera. Soon enough, his mom let us know it was time for the monthly HOA meeting. Of course, all three of us had to go in person to protest the fines. So the motley pair of us show up along with his mom, Andy's mom's stack of fine notices. I bring along my engine drawing, and we printed some of my friend boudoir engine photos larger than normal. After a while it was new business time, and my friend's mom steps up. I'm pretty sure they expected her to play the "my son and his friend air morons. Please make these fines go away since I didn't know what they were doing" sympathy card. Nope, not a chance. She politely but firmly attested that she was being sent fines for something that wasn't in the bylaws, and asked the board to stop. One of the board members spoke up, saying that working on cars was against the bylaws, and clearly that's what was going on since both hoods were up. Oh, you should have seen their faces when she corrected them that the bylaw said no repairs were allowed, that there were no repairs going on in any of the pictures since no tools were visible, and that we were just doing art projects for school. Even longer faces were seen when she showed my, truthfully completely terrible, drawing of my engine, along with the date stamped a couple weeks ago pictures. This was back when film cameras stamped a date directly on the picture, of my friend trying to seduce his engine. The HOA president called for a 5-minute recess, during which the board huddled in a corner of the room. After the recess, the president succinctly said, "Ma'am, we are going to dismiss all your fines. Have a nice evening." We near danced out of that meeting. Being the obnoxious shitheads that my friend and I were, we had to do the drawing photo routine a few more times just to make sure they weren't going to start sending more fines. They wisely didn't, and being victorious, we soon found other ways to annoy them. TL. Doctor. HOA forbids repairing your car in your driveway. Friend and I decided to draw my engine and take photos of my friend on top of his instead. Nothing wrong with your noise? Let's see how you like it when you have a baby. I live in an 80s-style duplex building made of concrete cinder block bricks and moved in HEREMID 2016. My neighbor has a mirror of my apartment. They are both 2 levels with a gallery staircase in the middle. I love it here so much. But my neighbor, oh my god. We actually used to get along alright, and that was mostly because I like to keep the peace. but he loves having every door and window of his home open, and I live in a part of the world that is hot and humid for about 3/4 of the year. We also live right by a busy road. This wouldn't be that much of an issue, but his music and movies have to compete with the outside noise as well as the noise from his fans. He refuses to use his air conditioner. The result, even at low levels, is a booming bass in some of my rooms due to the resonance. It drives me crazy, and this could happen at any time of the day or night. I was losing sleep in my mind and at my wit's end. We finally well and truly fell out about a year ago. I had tried asking, begging, pleading, passive aggression. Every avenue had been exhausted by this point. I convinced him to come over to my house and just listen so he can hear for himself what I'm talking about, and thought surely he would realize that he needs to stop, or at least seriously adjust his sound settings. He said there was absolutely nothing wrong, and so I decided to change tack and increase the levels of my own system, much better than his, to roughly where his was, and we went there, and again, he said there was nothing wrong and that he wasn't going to change anything. I was told that my sound wasn't able to be heard at their place and that I could leave the levels as they were and would just have to live with whatever sound came out of their home. At this point, I also started searching for phrases like narcissist or just a-hole to try to figure him out. He got with this lady he had been talking to, and it's an absurd and toxic relationship, but not my problem, and I figured at least he wasn't playing sound that boomed through my bedroom in the middle of the night. Anyway, cut to a few months ago. I noticed he had some old baby stuff on his patio that looked like it was bought from a garage sale 30 years ago, and then in the following months I see his girlfriend with a definite baby bump. By now I bet you can see where this is going, and so could I by that point, assuming things weren't going to change, and I knew they wouldn't. This past month, my neighbor and his girlfriend have welcomed an adorable little screaming baby which I can't hear from my place at all, thankfully. But apparently they absolutely can hear sound coming from my place, and told me as much when they knocked this week. Andy greeted them with a big smile and congratulations. They told me they are getting no sleep at all and they're at their wits' end. They asked, begged and pleaded with me to turn my sound system down, and I reminded my neighbor that my sound wasn't able to be heard from their house, and even if they could hear my sound, they can just live with it. I might reduce the setting slightly, once I know for sure that a lesson has been learned. And I'm well aware that this would fit in Aida and petty revenge, but I thought I'd give it a go here. Chef places the wrong order but doesn't listen. Alrighty then. I used to manage a high-volume single-location restaurant in the Bay Area. I was assistant manager there, front of house. We had a chef at the time who was extremely hard-headed, even by chef standards. He made mistakes all the time but always shot an excuse and never wanted any criticism. I was in charge of ordering for the front of house and bar, and he was in charge of ordering for the kitchen. We ordered a lot of things from the same supplier so we could see each other's items in the order before it got finalized. One day, I'm going through the order to see if I missed any of what I needed. I noticed there's 20 cases of red onions. We don't carry red onions, but frequently order small quantity of things for private events with specific menu items. I assumed he meant 20 red onions, by the each. So I called him up to clarify before changing it. Me. Hey, good evening, I think you added too much onions to the order. It should be, chef. Why are you telling me what I need? You didn't know what I need. I know what I need. Leave it alone and don't call me on my day off. Click. Q malicious compliance haze off Sunday and Monday. This is Sunday. I leave it alone, and the order auto-submits for next day delivery. Since deliveries come in Monday morning, the person who signs for it is usually a prep cook, not anyone in a decision-making role. So I know that the 20 cases will very likely be accepted, since the kitchen staff knows not to bother the chef on his days off. I roll in around 1 p.m. to close, and there's 20 cases of onions just packed anywhere there's room. Each case, for context, is about 2 feet by 1 foot by 1. It's ridiculous. I say nothing, and continue running the shift. My GM was pissed when he finds out we have 20 cases of an ingredient we don't carry, when in fact my intuition was correct and we needed about 20 onions for a private event later that week. Chef never said a word about it to me, but he's not chef there anymore, which is for the best. Wrote me up for winning an award. I'm done helping. A few months back I shared a story from my former life as a journalist. I'm back now to share another. This story started about 15 years ago. I transitioned out of sports writing into news writing, at a small paper though, so occasionally I'd volunteer to cover a sporting event or two to help out and keep those skills up. I covered 2 events that first year, so not a lot, but one of them was a really good story. So I submitted it to an awards contest the next year, and won. 2 days later I got written up because I wasn't assigned to the sports department and therefore made our sports writers look bad by beating them for this honor. Flash forward about 3 months. Between layoffs and a person quitting, the entire sports department is gone. And corporate hadn't authorized any hirings. They asked me to cover a few events a week until they replaced the sports staff. I refused, pointing out that I'm not assigned to the sports department. They asked me to transfer to that short term. I said he'd consider it, but would not cover anything off of my news beat then, as I wouldn't be assigned to news. They ended up leaving me in the news department. I didn't work there much longer before jumping to the other paper for my other story. Moral here is while I love newspapers, corporate owners of newspapers are ridiculous.